Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling and dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, the original Macho Man. Ooh, yeah, it's Jason Strudwick.
The greatest wrestler of all time. There's no doubt about it. How's everybody doing today? Welcome into Struddy's World. It's me, Jason Strudwick, and of course, my good buddy Zubes. Huge battle tonight. Oilers, Stars, 2 Titans in the Western Conference. And the Struddy's World is brought to you by our title sponsor, Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. If it's time for a new furnace, garage heater, or hot water tank, or you're looking to beat the rush on getting a new air conditioner for this summer, act now, as the team over at Weiss Johnson are already seeing an increase in requests for air conditioning. Specializing in servicing existing mechanical systems or installing new ones, Weiss Johnson's here for all your home comfort needs. Visit weissjohnson.com today. Hit it.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
I'm sitting here in my luxurious Adrenaline Diesel studio, Edmonton's premier heavy-duty diesel truck repair shop, specializing in powertrain, tuning, performance, and part sales. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. And I am fired up for this one today, Zoobs. We got a great game tonight. We've got the Stars versus the Oilers. 1-1 the series is at. This is the last game of the year. The Stars are good. The Stars are good, Zubie, but I'm going to explain to people why we should be optimistic because of the Oilers' depth. How are you feeling about tonight's game?
It feels like it's kind of one of those. I mean, they need the points, but it feels like it's kind of playing with house money. You got a built-in excuse if you can't pull it off. It's the Stars kind of versus the no Stars, with the Oilers' 2 biggest guns sitting out. So I think it'll be fun. I hope the guys that they've been really energized. With and talked about that, how important it is for them to have their roles without Connor and Leon playing. So I hope some of those unsung heroes will continue to step up.
Yeah, and that's it. And tonight we're going to get you set up the lines on both sides. The Stars are deep. So I started going through and looking at what the Oilers' depth looks like, and I feel pretty good at it. But before we can figure any of that out, Kris Knoblauch today spoke about what is going on with all the various injured people. So let's get into our digital sound box brought to you by Douglas Mattresses. If you're like me, you know there's nothing better than a good night's sleep after a long day. Your best sleep is just around the corner with every mattress there, including a free sleep bundle that includes 2 memory foam pillows, a complete set of luxury sheets, and more. Visit the Douglas Mattress Store in Manchester Square here in Edmonton, or check them out at douglas.ca/GYB. So here he is. Kris Knoblauch gives an update on all the guys that are injured. Hit it.
Kris, just an update with the Draisaitl out there. Do you have an update on both 97 and 29?
They're both not playing tonight.
Yeah, are they still expected to be out for another week or so?
Yes, Leon will be back sooner than Connor, but we're looking at about a week, maybe shorter for Leon, and Connor will be longer than that.
Just staying on the injury front here with Trent Frederic, is there a timeline you think where he'll maybe? Is he on the ice right now? And
he has been on the ice for a couple times, just on his own, light skates, and we are hopeful that he's going to be with us, maybe start practicing within a week or 2.
And is that, what your understanding was of the timeline originally when you got him, or was there any setback there at all? Or?
Well, it was an injury that I don't think there was an exact timeline of when he was going to be coming back. So I think there was best case scenarios and worst case scenarios, and we knew about the worst case scenarios, and I think we're probably approaching that worst case scenario. That's where, but no surprises.
Last one on this front. Evander Kane's been skating with the group here for a little bit. What have you thought of how he has looked? And based on that, are you optimistic that he might be a viable option right at the start of the playoffs?
I'm optimistic that he will be available, that the type of player he is and how he could help us. Things have been going well. There's been no setbacks, which I think is very important. Often when players are coming back from injury, you know how it's going to, or you have an idea how it's going to go. I think we haven't had any setbacks with him. He's progressing nicely. Now he's incorporating, playing with the, on the ice with for practices. And right now it's looking like he'll be ready at some point during playoffs.
So a lot to unpack there. Zubie, do you have the video of Leon Draisaitl skating?
I do. Yeah.
So here, this is Leon Draisaitl. He was on the ice today skating with the guys from Morning Skate. So I think this is a really good sign, just from my experience. When a player is out there skating with the regular team, it means that they're closer than obviously anybody else. So he's out there skating. We still don't know what his injury is, but Knoblauch said he's going to be back sooner than Connor. So that's a big thing to have one or two of them back sooner than later. Then Connor McDavid, obviously still progressing where he needs to be. The next guy up would be Trent Frederic. And this is getting pretty tight, because Knoblauch said he'll be back practicing with the group in 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, 1 or 2 weeks is a pretty long time still. And then, then you got a game or two, or after this weekend, the Oilers have 9 games left, Soups. 9 games left. So another week or two, another week after that, that's another 2 games. You're down to 5 or 6 games. And that's just anticipating him playing right after that first practice, which is probably unrealistic. So this trade is becoming really dicey, Zubie, because if he only gets a handful of regular season games, depending on how the playoffs go, and if they don't sign him, this is a pretty big, I guess, price to pay for someone who wasn't able to maybe help you. Now, I don't want to go down that road because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But you're getting pretty deep in the season for this to be happening, and for him to still be a week or two away from practicing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of runway there. And of course, there was so much talk about what the lines have been and trying to find wingers for Leon all year long. And lots of people want to kind of anoint or appoint him to that spot. But there's not a lot of time, not a lot of runway left to find chemistry.
Not tons. And that's what they need. They need the chemistry, right? And that's what this is all about, getting chemistry with new players. Then Evander Kane, I think that was a pretty good, I think that I would frame that as a positive kind of outline of what's going on with Evander Kane by Kris Knoblauch and the way he's progressing, the way he's going. So I think this is a good thing. So there's your update. Let's get to the lines as we see them tonight. It'll be Parkolz and Nuge and Arvidsson. You got Kappen on the left side with Henrique and Hyman. Skinner with Janmark and Brown, and then Jones, Ryan, and Perry. So nothing's really changed. On the back end, the pairings are the same, including Stetcher in the lineup. There's a lot of people who maybe thought that we'd see a change there. So those are your lines. Quickly, the depth for the Oilers, and this is going to be a theme all day, talking about the depths of the Oilers. So I want to talk first about the D-men. So the Oilers, I believe, have a really nice mix of D on their back end, Zubie. When you look at last year, they had guys like Ceci, Desharnais, and Stetcher. Now, he was hurt. They were and Broberg, he came into play, but I wouldn't call him depth. He was a regular player. So these guys that they have now, Kapanen, Emberson, and Klingberg, they offer more variety of type of player. And so more options for depth. So they get into a series and you want someone who's a little bit heavier, you can put Emberson, or someone that competes a little harder, Stetcher. Or you're looking for someone who moves the puck, you have Klingberg. They didn't have that Klingberg guy last year. Yeah, they had guys similar to Emberson and Stetcher with Desharnais, but now they have this other option. And I think their depth on the back end is better than it was last year because of the options they have, Zoobs. And
you made it clear last night that they've got a really clear top 5 right now, and you've kind of got 3 other guys vying for that 6th spot. But you can also, even though they know who the top 5 is, the pairings could change as well, right? Like I don't think after Ekholm Bouchard,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any pairing that's set in stone, correct?
No, there isn't. And I truly feel that it'll be a top five. Those top fives are going to play. And I think we get in the playoffs, the 16 man is going to be limited in his ice time. I'm going 10 to 12 minutes. I really feel that way. But they have options and they have different options, which is really, really important. So we'll get into the forward options later in the show. Kind of setting up the show today. We've got Jamie McLennan coming up momentarily. We're anticipating getting Ryan Rishaug live from the rink down there at some point as well later in the show. We've obviously got Get Off the Fence. We'll talk about in this one, the Oilers goal song. And this, I think, is going to cause some controversy amongst Zubie and I. Our rock tight friendship is going to maybe get rocked over this one. And then playing the field. We'll take a look at things going on around the world of sports. But the Oilers had their picture day and the guys were in full force chirp mode. So we'll talk to you about that. And also the Gretzky record that's going to be broken. I don't think most people even know that's happening. So
Under the radar, that one for sure.
Under the radar. So we got a bunch of stuff we want to get to today, Zoobs. And it's nothing without you listeners. So keep the thoughts coming because we'll have Ask Struddy later on in the show.
That's right.
Zoobs, did I miss anything here? But we got a jam-packed show today for everybody.
We do have a jam-packed show, and Noodles is here. He's ready to go. So let's get into it.
Okay, well, let's get into now time for Struddy's Buddy, brought to you by HSC Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSC Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSC Core supports clients' operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsccorcore.com. That's hsccor.com for more info. And here he is, the man of the hour, Noodles. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing today? I heard is it snowing in Toronto?
There was a blizzard as I was driving home today from dropping the kids off. It's ridiculous. Isn't it supposed to be spring? Like I don't know what's going on in Edmonton, but I feel like it's across the country. People are pissed off. They're angry. You know, there are golfers that have their golf clubs out. They're tinkering in their garages, and then there's snow and people that are just pissed off generally.
A lot of anger. A lot of anger.
Yes.
Now there'd be more anger if Leafs would have lost last night, but they took it to the Flyers. But I want to talk about a team you've covered a lot, and a player, Jacob Chychrun, was traded from Ottawa to Washington. Signed a big deal yesterday, $9 million. I think fans have to get used to those massive numbers with this salary cap going up. But compare him to what you know of Evan Bouchard, and maybe how those two players may be interlocked in some way in a contract now that he's got his long-term one, and Bouchard will be looking for one maybe after this year.
Well, two different players, because Bouchard is elite offensively, and I think Chychrun, just comes with a big shot and does have, some offensive numbers per se. But I think when you look at it, I believe Bouchard is better offensively, hands down. But I think Chychrun's game is rounded into a little bit better defensively. Like if you look at Chychrun, he's built like a Greek god. Like he's literally like, I'm not lying. Like if you check out his routine, apparently he's like very unique in his diet and stuff. What was the beef tallow? Or like he's in on like that type of stuff. Like he's I've seen like he's very unique in the way that he feeds himself, and he's very very passionate about his body. Evan Bouchard doesn't scream discipline when it comes to nutrition and stuff, but again, I don't know. maybe I'm wrong. But Evan Bouchard is an immensely talented player. I do believe he gets more than that. I do believe the number might be double digits when we're all said and done with Evan Bouchard. Now, you mentioned it coming in. People have to get used to large numbers because the cap is going up. But, what I've said to you repeatedly, it would make it a seamless transition and everyone would be on board if they watch number 2 for the Oilers play with some consistency. And then you're like, okay, we know what we're getting from this guy for the most part, night in and night out. The point totals will change given on a good year, bad year, all of that type of stuff. But I'm telling you, from shift to shift, there is not a consistency that comes with Evan Bouchard's game where you're like, I trust that he's going to make the right play. And I think that's what scares people is if, let's just get crazy and say, let's give him 8 years at 80 million, 10 million a year, which I actually think if he goes a long-term deal, it might be more. So
Right.
in the end, you're saying, okay, that you're handing out 80 million to this guy and you're not sure what you're going to get from him night in and night out. Is it going to be the last guy back tries a curl and drag? Is he going to try a 80-foot saucer pass through the middle that hits McDavid in the ass and drops down and they score like they did in Toronto that night? I mean, to me, there's a level of consistency and maturation that if he got to that next level, then it's just a slam dunk. It's just find the term, find the number, and you move on. But I do understand, we'll call it Oiler fan base, probably apprehension to go, hey, let's sign this guy to a long-term deal because there's no basis as to once he's comfortable, what's he going to do? Is he going to take off, continue to take off? Because I do believe he's on a projection. Or is he going to put his feet up and go, you know what, I'm going to try these plays and try that. Like, I think there's like an apprehension. So and you can't keep the guy on short-term deals the rest of his life. I mean, at some point he's going to get paid and he deserves to get paid, but he is a unique case study where you are seeing more consistency out of Chychrun. Chychrun's older, so Bouchard has a lot more runway. And I do believe Bouchard is the better offensive player, but I would like to see Bouchard round out his game. And I know the analytics people get on me because they're like, he's, analytically he's amazing. I'm like, okay, well, in context, we see what Evan Bouchard does within a game, and you're like, well, that's not analytically driven. That play where it's high risk or you give up a breakaway because you're, a little casual here or there or a poor pass. So I believe there's context to everything, but long-winded, I think he's going to get paid a lot of money, Struddy.
Yeah, he's going to get it. He would have been very happy when he saw Chychrun. Would have sent him maybe a gift certificate to the keg because he's got such a nice thank you.
Yeah.
So Noodles, the theme of the show today for me is the depth of the Edmonton Oilers. And I think that one area that they have lots of options and different looks, right? Do you want to have Kapanen on the fourth line when everyone's healthy, or Perry? Different types of players. Do you want to have Kane or do you want to have Frederic? And let's assume that everyone gets healthy. Maybe that's a bit unfair, but do you want Frederic on the second line or Frederic or Kane? Like there's a lot of different looks. Trent Frederic at center or Henrique at wing. Like it's a lot of different options. But I believe the whole thing centers around Leon Draisaitl's line. Because it's going to be Connor and Hyman, and then question mark who's there. We're not sure. But I really think it's Leon's line. So when everyone's healthy, and let's assume the playoffs start tomorrow, everyone's healthy, everyone's playing well. How do you settle up that second line, or do you give them one partner like we have with Hyman beside Connor?
Well, I mean, you're talking health. I saw Evander Kane flying in practice on Twitter the other day. I'm like, this guy looks like he's playing tonight. I mean, he did look pretty good. If they could get, and I know maybe this is wishful thinking, Evander Kane's biggest impact for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was against the Calgary Flames in the playoffs. They had no answer for him. Okay. So I don't know if you could you get 80% of that? Could you get to 90% of that? I know it's a couple years removed. Father time is involved. Injury, missed the whole season. But if you could get a guy who is such a unique player, there's only a few Evander Kanes in the league. And what I mean by that, as far as what they're capable of doing. Brady Tkachuk, Tom Wilson, guys like that who can score 30, have 100 penalty minutes, be physical, be a physical threat, and be a general pain in the ass to your opponent. If you could get him, and then you follow that up with Frederic on another line, now you're cooking with something. You got Hyman on the left side to go Kane, Frederic, and I think you're right. Leon's line. Now, if you're working in Paris, do you see him with Nuge? Like, do you see?
Well, you're opening up another can of worms because I really like Nuge at center. I like the way he skates at center, specifically with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. So I've kind of worked backwards. I gave Hyman that and Connor, and then I'm keeping Nuge together with Podkolzin and Arvidsson because I like that line. I want a line that can kind of get going, but then I'm taking away from 29 needs guys to play with. So I don't know if it's Frederic and Kane. I mean, those three guys together, that's a lot of man out there. But I'm not sure they
it
can play
is.
together.
It's size, and the other thing it has too is Leon would be the designated puck passer, even though he's a shooter, because Kane is a shooter, and Frederic is a guy who's a straight line player.
Sure.
So it would be Draisaitl driving the bus, going, okay, I'm going to find these guys. You got to have speed. You got to go to the net, and then so I wouldn't mind trying it out. It's just, are you going to go back to Janmark, Henrique, and Brown as a line that had so much success last year? God, I wish if Connor Brown had any finish, man, like he gets a lot of chances around the net. Him and Podkolzin, like those guys should be 25 to 30 goal scorers based on the amount of chances they do get. That being said, I don't mind if you could have them healthy. I see a guy like Frederic, you could push him around the lineup. He could be a third line, second line, fourth line winger if you really need it. I don't see him at center ice. I think if you're having Nuge down the middle, then, Kapanen is the guy who's interesting for me, Struddy, and he's very frustrating, and there's probably a reason why he has, now bounced around through some teams, right? It's because you see flashes of this guy who's got skill, who's got, wheels to burn, but he's in and out of the game at a rate that you can't trust what he's going to do shift to shift. Connor Brown, regardless of his warts and what I just said, him not, scoring at a rate I'd like to see him do. I know exactly the way Connor Brown's going to play every shift because he knows how to play, and he's hard on pucks and he leans into. I think Adam Henrique, these injuries to the two, I think he's really pushed for it. I really like his game right now. I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. The other guys, Janmark is a guy that, yes, you're not going to get a lot of goals from, but I think he's a very productive player for what he brings to the table. So, now you're looking at Arvidsson. Now you're looking at Podkolzin. Now you're looking, there's Frederic, there's Kane. That's where you start the mix and match, right? And go, who's going to be the best fit for Leon? Is there going to be a playmaker there that can get him the puck? That's why I came back to Nuge, because Nuge is a really cerebral passer. And then do you have a straight line, bully out there, whether that's Kane or that's Frederic. So you do have versatility within this lineup, but it depends on what you want to do down the middle of the ice, and then you work backwards from that. If Henrique's going to be your third line or your fourth line center, depending on, how you like to deploy people.
And so here's my concern with the Frederic situation. Kris Knoblauch just spoke today and said he's a week to 2 weeks till he's practicing. So, I mean, the Oilers schedule, they don't go till May 15th, right? We're running out of runway here for him for the regular season. Now, playoffs, I'm sure it'll be a different conversation, but this was my concern, is that we're putting all these lines together, but 3 or 4 really important players that aren't even in the lineup right now, Connor, Leon, Frederic, and Kane, aren't even in the lineup. So, how many games do you think a team requires to get these lines organized? Now, Kane won't play till playoffs, but the other 3 guys to kind of stack these lines up, do you need a half dozen? Do you need 3? Where do you see it at for the Oilers?
I was going to say 5. Like I think a 5, like a 5 is like 10 to 12 days. We'll call it 2 weeks, depending on your schedule. Like maybe 5-6 games where it's like you've got pregame skates, you've got practices, you've got them going through game routines to feel a little bit more comfortable. I think Frederic can be a plug and play player. Like I think they, what he should be doing right now is sitting with the coaches every day and going through systems and running through it in his mind. And when he's working out and trying to stay in shape, is like, where am I going to be on the ice if I get the opportunity to play with Leon Draisaitl? Where am I going to be on the ice if I'm watching Adam Henrique, if I'm going to be playing with him? To me, he has to understand mentally before he gets on the ice how this team likes to play and how they play, because Boston's system is completely different than the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers are a puck possession team. They like to hold on to the puck. They like to make plays. They play a little bit more risk. Yes, he's more of a straight line player, but his adjustment is going to be how quickly can he settle in to comfort, not thinking on the ice, comfort of like,
Right.
I know what I'm going to do. I know the objective of this shift to go out and play straight line hockey because I'm playing with player X and Y. And that is the biggest. Kane's been around these guys forever. So he knows how they want to play, how they want to regroup. He doesn't have to think about it. It's just getting up to game speed. With Frederic, this is all new. And sometimes we see guys, I'll give you an example. I called the Buffalo-Ottawa game last night. Dylan Cousins has come over to Ottawa, and it's been a seamless transition. He's developed chemistry with Drake Batherson, who he played World Juniors with, and their buddies, and they're living together. And it seems like he's been an Ottawa Senator for a long time. That's not the case for a lot of guys in their new environment. So that's ask Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and guys who were legacy players in their own respective organizations, and they get to this new world and go, what the hell is going on here? So I think that's the biggest challenge. You've got a wealth of these players, and you don't have a lot of time to plug them in. And then in the meanwhile, Bud Colson can get going. Kapanen can get going. I talked about Connor Brown. Guys who are already incumbent, you need them at the top of their game so that they are contributing, and they make it difficult for these other guys to push into the lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible because we're running out of time here. We're running out of time for these guys to find the ideal lineup, and Kane not being in the lineup at all is going to make it tricky. Now, they could add more at the trade deadline, but it is going to be tricky. Noodles, buddy, I'm looking forward to this game tonight. We're going to hear you next. Are you on this big show today, Overdrive today?
I'm on Overdrive today. I'm calling Detroit, Ottawa tomorrow.
Okay. Big game.
Pittsburgh, Ottawa this weekend. You know me. I'm working, popping chips. That's all I live on. It's all good.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for this. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Struddy's buddy lives on chips and pop. Fanta. He loves Fanta pop. All right. Let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll get up to speed and some more sound from the various guys in the room today down at the Oilers rink. We'll talk to you in a minute.
McDonald's new cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder with 100% Canadian beef is here. So if you crave beefy burgers with a pretty peppery punch and pickled jalapeno peppers piled in a perfect bunch, and if you please if a cheesy taste came in threes with cheesy jalapeno pepper sauce poured with ease, and if smoky strips of bacon make burgers better, you'll love our cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder. Get this beefy, bold, bacony, melty mouthful only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
It's now time to get up to speed, brought to you by Timber House Developments. When you become part of the Timber House family, you might be surprised just how close you'll get to the people and the process. Want to check in on things? No problem. Stop by the job site. Want to chat with the crew at the head office? Stop by anytime. They have amazing coffee. You're the most important person in the home building process and will be treated as such. Visit timberhouse.ca. And here he is, Shaugger in the house. So Shaugger, good to talk to you today. We've gone through the lines and kind of just quickly discussed.
Hey, STRUDDY, I just want to show you. Want to show people just real quick. So we're ready to shoot our hit for Sports Center with Rod Smith. There's ace cameraman Sergio. So in 10 minutes, we're going to knock off our hit for Sports Center so people can catch our content tonight on TSN at 4 o'clock Mountain Time, buddy.
Okay, well, we'll
Sorry
have
to
you out of
interrupt.
here in 9 minutes. So the lines, nothing's really changed in lines, but update from Kris Knoblauch. We heard it already about his the 4 injured players. I'm concerned about Frederic. The 1 to 2 week timeline, that is getting mighty close to what they call the end of the regular season, Shaugger.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that definitely caught my ear too, buddy. And that's why I followed up with the question, like, did you guys know that was going to be the case? But I mean, basically, he said it in his answer. You know, they had 2 scenarios, kind of a best case scenario and a worst case scenario for what his timeline might be. And as it turns out, it's looking like it's more likely to be the worst case scenario. So you've been talking about this on our show. You've been concerned about this, that he's not going to have the runway needed to get in, get enough meaningful games in, start building some chemistry with line mates. You know, how's this going to look? This is going to be a real test for Trent Frederic to jump in, new team, new situation, try and find chemistry, try and find his hands. Now, the good news is he's a physical player, so he can go out there and skate and finish checks, and he can at least take care of those things. But can he be the goal scoring threat that I think the Oilers are kind of quietly hoping that they traded for?
The challenge for Knoblauch now and the player is that there's no more let's move him around and let him get adjusted. I believe that if there's 3 or 4 games left, you put him where you want him. Like, it's no more, hey, let's just start him here and let him move up. We got to start it. You got to start him with, you know, if it's 2-9, if it's 9-7, whatever, you got to put him where you want him because he's got to get some chemistry going. So I think this really makes a challenge for the player and his new line mates.
Yeah, I don't know if you do that right away. I would maybe disagree with you in that, let's say there's 5 games left. Let's say 5 games.
Well, 5's
And
quite a few.
secretly, yeah. Do you think it's possible? Like, if it's
5 games gives you 1 or 2 games to let him kind of get his beak wet, and then after that, you got to put him where you want him. But if it's 3 games,
that's what I would say. Now, if it's 3
after this
games,
weekend,
you're right,
there's
it's a
only
little different. Yeah.
You know, after Saturday, there's only 9 games left, right? So another week peels off another 3 games. So you're down to 5 or 6 games. If it's any, and that's just for him to get skating with the team.
Skating.
That's not even in games. So I'm honestly wondering if we're looking at a 3-game window at the end of the, because again, 2 weeks, guys, that's when he starts skating. That's not when he's playing. And there's a big difference there. So this runway is going to be tight. That's why if it's 2-3 games, like, hey, Leon, meet your new line mate. You guys are going to play 9 periods together, and good luck.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you just chuck him into that situation for 3 regular season games. I think at that point, I think what would be more likely, Struds, is we'll see the Oilers go with a bit more of a known fit until Frederic displays that he's ready for it. So in other words, play him on your 3rd line to start, you know, give him 3 games there, and then start the playoffs with him in a comfortable position. And if he plays his way into it, then go ahead and make the move. But I wouldn't necessarily force it out of the gate, because the problem is, how much patience are you going to have with it? If he's struggling, how long are you going to let him struggle on Leon's line? As opposed to if he comes back and struggles on a 3rd line, okay, so bump him down to the 4th line, you know, let him get his feet. But if he's up on that top line, you're probably not going to have the patience that his situation requires. So I would say, you know, if it's only 3 games, start him, you know, 3rd line, 4th line, let him get going, make a decision for game 1 of the playoffs based on where he's at. But I would not be structuring my lines and counting on Trent Frederic to be a dry-saddle winger for game 1 of the playoffs if he hits the regular season with 3 games left. I think you'd be better off to just slow play it at that point.
I was looking at this Dallas Stars team. They're good. They're big and they can score. The top 3 lines for their top 9 forwards, the lowest guy has 16 goals. The highest guy has 29. On the back end, they have monsters. Big D-men all over the place, whether it's CC or Lindell, all these guys. And, oh, by the way, they don't have Mikko Rantanen. Or not Mikko. Mikko Heiskanen. No.
Miro Heiskanen.
Miro Heiskanen, my bad. Miro Heiskanen is not in the lineup either. This is a really good team, and they are massive all over the place. The depth, for Dallas is really strong. The same lineup the Oilers are running tonight, their top 9 forwards have anywhere between 2 and 25 goals. So now, to be fair, Connor Lean aren't in. So that skews it a bit. But this is a good matchup for the Oilers, even though they're coming off 2 out of 3 days rest. I think that they have to come out with pace and play this team fast because out muscling this group is probably not going to happen.
No, you'll get embarrassed if you're not careful. Like you will. Dallas has that kind of talent where they have the ability to come in here and blow the doors off. We just finished chatting with Pete DeBoer. Like he's not super pumped about where their game is at. Like he feels it's okay. They're rounding into form and he's okay with where they're at, but not thrilled. So these guys have a little bit of pressure on them to try and find their higher end game. And yeah, man, this is a massive challenge for the players that are in the lineup tonight because this is an elite team. Regardless of how they're playing game to game to game, this is an absolutely elite team and should be talked about in and among some of the favorites to go a really long way in the playoffs. So, if you're Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you've been fantastic lately, but there is no space for you to take your foot off the pedal. There's just not. Some of the other guys that have stepped up and played well, you can't get proud of yourselves. You are desperately needed. So yeah, 100%. It's a deep Dallas team and this Oiler group. This is more opportunity. Like, did you run the Kapanen interview? I mean, how a guy like that wouldn't be sensing and smelling the opportunity at his fingertips right now? That guy's scrapping for his playoff life, or he should be, to be in the lineup. So I'm interested to see with a bit of elevation what he does.
Well, and now you're getting to the point where usually you miss the top player or top players for 1 or 2 games. You're like, okay, we're running on adrenaline. But now it's going to be deeper than that. For Leon, what's it going to be? Or 5 games? It's going to be longer, right? So now you start to realize, like, holy turds, like we actually don't have the 2 best players. So now you really got to dig in and get your job done. So you're looking around that lineup. The guys have been through it before, like Nuge, Henrik, they understand it. But guys are maybe a little bit more on the side and haven't done it as much. They got to really make sure that they bring it tonight, because this is an opportunity, I think, to solidify what may be your playoff spot or a continued spot in the lineup when people start to get healthy.
Yeah, and I think, the Oilers are kind of in the position right now that a lot of teams are in when they come in here. So when you're Jamie Benn and the Dallas Stars and you roll into Edmonton, you're like, okay, we're probably going to be matched up against players that have a higher ceiling than most of us. And so we got to, win or tie our matchups. We can't lose these matchups. We need to go in and perform at a really high level against players that probably, are a little bit higher end. Well, that is exactly what the Oilers face tonight, right? Like if you're, maybe other than Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like you're going to be matched up against players that are really good players. And you need to either be even or win your matchups. And that's right through the lineup. So if you're a 3rd-line player in tonight's game, there's going to be a little bit of a mismatch there. Everybody's facing that, Struds, and everybody's got to try and win a little piece of their own matchup.
I'm going to leave you with this thought. Tonight we have our Got Your Back pod. I think that tonight's game is going to be massive for the Oilers D. They have to be not perfect, but near flawless. I think this is a really important night for this group to step. Not that they have to prove anything, but if the Oilers want to win, that group has to be really good. And Skinner has to be just as good as these guys as well.
Yeah, definitely. My wedding ring just popped off my finger and literally rolled. It's like it's still rolling down the hallway.
Okay, well, that's a sign. I think that's a sign we better let you go.
I was a little distracted. No, thanks, Sergio. No, I totally take your point, buddy. And I agree. Like on a night like this, your goaltender's got to show up and be good. This decor has had a few games now to get together and kind of feel a little bit more comfortable and more at ease. So definitely a big game is required from those guys. And not a lot of room to make a bunch of mistakes tonight. The Oilers cannot get in their own way tonight, or this will be ugly.
That's for sure. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Zubie, what do I miss?
I was just going to say, Shaugger, Mike Corky on the stream says he likes your Eurocut suit. There's a couple throwbacks to the Jamie McLennan comment that Struddy made last night.
I got some buttons that are not looking forward to when my hit starts because I got to do them up. They're fighting for their life right there.
Deep breath. All right, buddy. Get over to your head. We'll see that later on TSN, and we'll talk to you later tonight.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Have a great show.
Thank you. This leaves you and I, Zubie, Let's just continue with a little bit more sound box, Zubie, and then we'll get to our standings.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go back into the Douglas Mattresses digital sound box. What are you thinking, buddy? Ekholm or Kapanen?
I don't know. I know you think Kapanen's a little bland, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Okay, then you have creative authority. Let's do it. Let's do Kapanen. This is Kapanen on kind of, I think, where his game's at and where the team's at.
Things that's going to happen in this situation is guys are going to get more opportunity, and you're going to be one of those guys. How important is it for you to kind of make the most of this while this extra ice time and opportunity will be there?
Yeah, obviously, those two guys are such a big part of our team that some guys need to step up, and I just want to play some good, solid hockey and hopefully contribute and help the team win.
What message do you get from the staff about the things they like to see from you and that make them want to put you out there?
Yeah, just use my speed and use my size, be on the body a little bit and just be around the net a bit more. And hopefully, I'll get a goal or two, but just play solid hockey, take care of stuff in the D zone, and then hopefully contribute in the offensive zone.
How do you feel like it's gone in your time here
that's
so
good.
far and
That's
where your
good.
game's at right now?
So I'm going to translate the second question to you. So What did the coach tell you? He's telling me not to turn the puck over in my own or the offensive zone, then be physical, get in on the forecheck and get to the net. That is the simplest recipe a winger can get from a coach. That's it. That is the most basic thing. If you do all those things, you'll get some goals. Not a ton, but you'll get a few.
I find him to be, what I like about Kapanen is that I notice him and more. I notice the speed. Sometimes it's like streaking down the wing. Yeah. Who is that? Oh, it's Kapanen. And I like to see him finish a couple more checks too. We know what the team and Shaugger's philosophy on that, so we don't need to go deep into that. But I find him noticeable and more so for the good than the bad. There's been a couple of turnovers and a couple of penalties. But I guess the key to unlocking guys like that is having them do it throughout the game and consistently game after game. And that's the knock on him, I think.
That's his kryptonite. And that's what makes 1,000 game NHLers, the difference between them and guys who play 3, 4, 200, 500 game, whatever it is, right? That's the difference. That's where you're at, is that consistency every night. And I think the Kapanen has another level. And he goes on to say that, where's your game at? I think it's okay. It could be better. Yeah. And I'd agree with that.
I like
and
that.
He's self-aware. He's right. And I think that, looking at him, he's a guy that could really be used in the playoffs because of the unique skill set he brings to the team. All right, buddy. Let's get to our standings, and they are getting tight. Wow. Our standings are brought to you by our good friend, Painting by Michaela. If your home interior is feeling dull or outdated, Painted by Michaela knows fresh coats are in season all year round. From winter to summer, their dependable quality service delivers a clean, flawless finish every time, done by professionals you can trust. Proudly serving the Edmonton area, they're ready to transform your space. Call 780-935-8608 today. Where are you taking us on the standing visit today?
Yeah, well, then I didn't want to start here. I want to start with the division.
Teasing us.
And the division, it's you can see here the Kings now have caught up with the number of games played and are officially 2 points ahead of the Oilers. They're into the home ice potentially position if the playoffs were to start today, and they don't, fortunately. But, someone made a really good point. The Oilers had to go start on the road in 3 out of 4 series last year. They're now looking down the barrel of a gun that might, if they want to go on another run, have to start potentially 4 out of 4 series on the road. I maybe home ice is a little bit overhyped, but I think it's something. I think it's a lot to ask of a team to go on a run like that. And then looking over to the West wild card, you can see that the Blues, winners of 7 straight, have vaulted up there and now only 2 points back of Minnesota for that first position wild card spot. And those two teams have pushed the Flames and the Canucks out. We talked about last week or recently how there were one point in time 6 Canadian teams in the playoff position. That's currently down to 4. I guess it's down to 4. It would be down to 5 because we had one of these guys out, but it's such a precipice, and you can see the Flames vaulting over top of the Canucks with 4 straight wins. You just got to get hot at the right time.
And that's my concern for the Blues. Can they keep this pace up? And the Flames, they're playing with fire. They've come, well, that's actually a pretty good pun.
Love it.
The Flames have come back 4 straight games from behind to win. And last night was a monster win.
Right.
Kadri scored overtime. So, and I want the Flames to get in. Not because I think the Oilers will play them in the playoffs, but I want to see them get through, be great for hockey and great for that team that works really hard to get their points. All right, man. That was great. Let's take a quick pause here. When we come back, we're going to play the field and get off the fence. And Zubie's got a real nutcracker coming up in that one. So stay with us. We love your comments. We'll get into all those a little bit later. Time for Ask Struds. Right now, a quick pause and playing the field when we get back.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
Thanks for joining us today on STRUDDY's World. Zubie and I are having a great time and great people tuning in. Send us your comments about what you think for questions for Ask Struds and give us the thumbs up on there as well. Now it's time to play the field. Brought to you by Play Alberta. Love to play, but want to keep it fun? Play Alberta makes it easy to set limits on deposits and game time so you can use your game sense and stay in control while still having fun. Whether you're betting on sports or trying your luck at the tables, play safe, play smart, and play your way. Learn more at playalberta.ca. Okay, Zubie. One of the things I loved about playing hockey was the chirps, right? I always loved that. You know, there's a fine line though between chirping guys and like saying mean things. And I think I was pretty good about riding that fine line of being chirpy without crushing someone's soul. So the Oilers recently had their picture day, and as they were walking on the ice, they were asked by the Oilers media, the internal media, who spent the most time with their hair. So you have a video we can take a look at here.
Yeah, here we go.
Who spent the most time on their hair this morning?
Connor Brown. He's looking good.
No, this is obvious. Troy Stetcher.
Other one. It's quick.
Leo.
This guy.
What?
I'll go with Nursey. Klingberg.
Cup on him.
Leo. Troy Stetcher. Brown. This dude's gonna get. This one's really easy. Leon. I'm not gonna.
Not me. Leon.
Rico.
Rico spent some time.
Rico. Stetcher. Leon.
It's so funny. You know what's funny is I saw a different video with Pickard, and he said nurse, and he was so proud of himself. He's like, I said nurse. I hope it doesn't get back to him. Like he was, and I think it is funny. It's really I appreciate that dry humor in their Zoobs.
Yeah, that was very funny. There was a couple of good. That was well edited. Nice little piece there. And you must have had at least a couple of photos taken with Henrik Lundqvist. What was his? Do you have good picture day stories of any of those guys?
I mean, he and Sheldon Surrey had pretty sick hair, and they spent a lot of time making sure it was dialed in. You know, not surprising. I don't think I spent any time on mine. I was just the wheel out there, like, you know, no one cares. No one's looking at me in the picture. Even my parents would cover my picture up and put someone else's on there. But I played this guy, Steve Ruchin, and let's say that at a young age, Ruch went thin, like fast.
Yeah.
So when we'd play with him, I'm not kidding you, after every game, he would spend 10, 15 minutes trying to get each individual hair to look a little bigger than it was. And so for the picture, he did it. I remember looking at him thinking, what are you doing? Like, listen, I don't have the fullest head of hair, but I don't spend any time on it. This guy was spending so much time on it. So it is interesting because there's guys that really want to look good in every single picture. Like Sean Horkoff, he was always really done well. Now, he wasn't the best looking guy, but he had really good hair, so he always wanted to be ready. But yeah, everyone kind of spends their own different amount of time. Would you have been a guy that would have really cared about how you looked in the team picture? Because I wasn't, and that's probably not a surprise.
Probably not, because I'm the guy who take my picture for, my passport, my driver's license or whatever, and look at it. Do I like it? Nope, but I don't care. It's just there. And I also shaved my head for close to 15 years. I had it all gone, which just was out of just for convenience. So no, I would not have cared, I don't think, in a team photo. But
and I think based on that video, I think Troy Stecher probably spends a lot of time on what he does, because you see he's a really good dresser. Like, his suits are sick,
right?
The ones that I see, and he looks like he's always put together. I think that Stecher puts a lot, and that's fine. I think he puts a lot of time on it. And when you're good looking, I guess you can do it.
You never got Steve Rooch, and you should have got him the Ron Popeil spray in hair. That would have been a good good chirp or a prank. Leave it in his locker.
I couldn't afford the bottles. He needed bottle after, we're talking oil drum bottles full of this stuff to get his hair looking good. All right. We obviously know we're all following the Ovechkin chase of Wayne Gretzky, and it's incredible. I think he's 6 away now from breaking it, which incredible run.
Crazy.
But I found another one of Wayne Gretzky's records that's going to be broken maybe sooner than that one. Wayne Gretzky had 19 seasons of point a game, right? So every year, so let's say he played 50 games, he had 51. Whatever, 82, he had, some years he had 250. But he had at least a point a game in every game of the season. So 19 is incredible. Well, Sidney Crosby's also done that. Now, there's been some that are injury shortened or the lockout, but he was always over a point a game. So that counts in this tally as far as seasons. Sidney Crosby is 2 points away from doing it again this year. And that'd be 20 seasons with a point a game from Sidney Crosby. And now, is that as impressive as Ovechkin one? No. But doing it for that long, 20 games, and knocking off that record for Wayne Gretzky, absolutely incredible. So 2 points, he might get that, before the weekend, buddy.
Yeah. That level of consistency is crazy, especially just with the and I mean, it's a marathon. It's a grind for both records that we're talking about here. And certainly I would agree that the Ovechkin one is more impressive, but the level of consistency, doing it all with one team and varying, he's had varying line mates and level of skill of his line mates over the years. So just to keep doing it, and apparently he's a fitness freak and super committed to the game. So hats off to him. That's the work paying off, I suppose.
I remember saying about 10 years ago that Wayne Gretzky's 2 records that would never be broken are the goal record, then 50 goals and 39. I thought never would either one of those be touched. Well, I'm halfway wrong. But do you think anyone ever scores 50 and 39 games?
I can't imagine. You're talking about a goal, 1.5 goals per game, and to have it start maybe there's a stretch of 39 games where a guy scores 50, but you have to start from game 1 and do that. It seems very unlikely.
Yeah, I don't want to believe it either, but I hope if it happens before I die, that I can see someone do that. And I don't know who. Ovi's time, he's had an incredible run, but he's not up to it anymore. Could Connor, could Leon, Matthews, I don't know. I don't know that there's a guy out there that's, able to do it. And I'm not saying that they're not good players, but we're talking 50 goals in 39 games, half a season. You're on pace for a 100-goal season. Just think about that.
And with expansion, you can make a case too. More expansion coming will thin out the talent pool. But does that mean that a goal scorer has not as good players to play with, or could a goal scorer be playing against weaker players and have the ability to do it quicker? You could probably make a case either way. But I'm not banking on it.
No, it's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens there, but these Wayne Gretzky records are starting to fall, and congrats to Ovi when he gets it done. And Sid, I'm guessing by the time we're on next week, he'll have done it.
Yeah.
All right. That was playing the field. Let's now get into time to get off the fence. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, Alberta's leading supplier of vinyl products. DLR offers premium materials for fences and decks. designed to stand the test of time. No rotting, fading, or deteriorating. Whether you're looking for a professional contractor or planning to tackle the project yourself, they have the resources and expertise to help. Canadian owned and operated with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Please check them out online at dlrvinylproducts.ca. And they told me not to say this, but Ryan Rishaug will come over and help you drill fence posts. So if that's required, until his back gives out through the half through the first digging, Zubes.
Yeah.
And he'll be out. So what is that? 10 minutes of
I was
time?
I was going to give him an hour and a half, so I'm more generous. I was going to give him 90 minutes.
Okay, Zubie, you've got something that's in your bonnet for getting off your fence. Take it away, my man.
Oh, I'm kicking the fence over. I'm mowing it down.
I love it.
So Struddy, you're a coach, you're a father. You probably know that talk about the sandwich method.
Yes.
If you've got some criticism, you're going to give your sandwich it with put something good on either side of it. So I'm going to say this first. The Edmonton Oilers game day presentation is phenomenal. It is really, really good. It is second to none. It's in the upper tier of the league, and I have some experience working in this department. So it is amazing. It's fabulous. But there's one aspect of it that has been driving me crazy for a few years now. And we heard it, some 12 plus times last week, and that is the Edmonton Oilers goal song. And to me, that song, I'm not going to be kind about this. That song is trash. And I'm using that word for a reason. I'm going to get back to that. The song is called Fluxland.
Yes.
By somebody called XL. I tried to look. There's very little information on them. It's just like the most random, to me, it's the most random, muted, low energy EDM song you could ever have. I know it's got the they want they want the singing along and the clapping along. I'm sure I can't find any connection at all to this song, to the team, to any of the players, to Edmonton, to Alberta, to Canada, nothing. So I can't stand this song. And the reason why I said it was trash is because what do we do with trash? We recycle it. Well, this song is also recycled. It's been used by Tampa as their goal song. It's been used by the Flyers as their goal song. This is a twice at least already used goal song in the aught tens by other NHL teams. So I can't stand it. I think they got to change it. And there's so many other ways to go. Now I think Buffalo and somebody else, maybe Colorado, they have individual goal songs for each player, which is really cool. But I also know from my experience, incredibly hard to kind of manage. So I'm not going to go there, but I do think, the Kraken play Nirvana when they score. The Red Wings play Eminem when they score. The Preds have that Tim McGraw. I like it. I love it. They got country in there. So Connor McDavid is on the record as saying Nickelback is his favorite band. Now, yes. I'm not a huge Nickelbacker, but why not? They're an Alberta band, Connor's favorite band. Get Burn It to the Ground playing in there. How about Big Sugar, All Hell for a Basement, a song about Alberta and the oil, the oil industry. Fuel by Metallica. They used to use that song Coming Onto the Ice. I think that would work. The Road Hammers, Mud. I was looking up a few others. There's all kinds of options of songs that could be like from a Canadian band and have connection to the team or the players or something. Change it, please. It's killing me. I can't stand that song.
You know what, Zubie? That's a well thought out, well laid out argument. And I agree with you. I never thought of the fact that you try to have something connected to the market or to the city. And I think that the idea of Nickelback playing here as a goal song makes a ton of sense. I mean, you could even take it, maybe they could do something. They could write something that would be a goal song because they're from here. I think it's really well thought out. I unlike you, I'm kind of indifferent to the song. I don't like it or dislike it. It's just the one that plays. I like something that I can sing along to. That's what I want. Right. Like if I ever were able to transport myself back and score enough goals that they say, hey, what's your goal song? I would go with Patio Lanterns by Kim Mitchell. Yes! I want people to sing along and sing along to Patio Lanterns. And I would want all the Euros on my team say, what are we listening to? I'm like, we're listening to a Canadian icon, Kim Mitchell. But I like that. I like that idea of the Nickelback connection because they are from just down the road in Camrose.
Struddy, I can't, but we did not pre-discuss this. That I can't believe that you said patio lanterns, because that used to be our winning for my one team I played on in Vancouver. No. That was our winning song, first song in the dressing room after we won. And guys who would come in from who we'd have subs in, and they would be like that, like, this is your winning song after the game. I got to clip this. I'm going to send it to all my buddies in Vancouver to show that
they'll be passionate.
Yeah.
No. We have a lot of people on the stream saying I would want an ABBA song. And yes, ABBA would be right there after. Like I love ABBA. The problem is which song? Like Dancing Queen probably would be the one. I mean, anytime you drop that at a party, the dance floor starts blowing up. But which one?
I was going to say, or if you have Fernando hit right in the chorus.
Yeah, for sure. Just something that I like something you can sing to. That's what I really love. Like we had Private Eyes for a while when I was with the Oilers by Hall Notes. And we'd all sing and clap. And like, I love that feeling. I loved it.
Yeah.
So if you're in the stream right now or listening on Twitter, put it in, put your thoughts forward for what you'd like to see the Oilers move it to, and, or what your personal song would be. Because I think it's important for us all to get our 2 cents in there, Zoobs. Well done, man. I like that. I really like that. I'm not best friends with the Nickelback guys, but I see them every now and then. I may suggest that next time I see them. Can you write a song that would be a good goal song for the Oilers? It's kind of fired people up, because Burn It to the Ground, if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Nick Biskupek saying maybe the Weiss Johnson jingle for that place.
Wow. Yeah, we'd have to all replace the roof, or we have to make it retractable. I love it. All right. That was Get Off the Fence. Thanks for your submissions there. We'll get to those as well. But now, before we tap out, time for Ask Struts, brought to you by McDonald's. $5.99 meals with McDonald's McValue meals. You get an all-star team for only $5.99. Like the Junior Chicken, the Snack Wrap, or the McDouble McValue meal. Make your choice today. And I was there the other day, Zoobs, and I made my choice. I got, along with the Snack Wrap, I got fries. And I always get barbecue sauce to dip my fries in. It is a magical pairing. I don't know where I learned this. I don't know why I started it, but it is so good together. And just the tip of the fries, and you put it in, it just gives a right je ne sais quoi to it. So that's my pairing.
When you work there, as I did many years ago,
that's
where I also first learned about, before they had the McChicken sauce packets. You get a little couple pumps of the McChicken sauce out of the gun for your fries.
Delicious.
And that did not help my cholesterol in any way.
I love that. I'm going to have to try that. I'm going to have to try it, because the barbecue sauce is absolute money.
It is.
All right, buddy. What do you got for Ask Struds here today?
There's an interesting thought from Noel Rinsky when we were in the Chychrun Bouchard sort of talk. This might seem obvious, but he says, do primary points matter more in determining an offensive D-man?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not an expert in the analytical field. I know there's been some discussion that primary assists are more important than secondary, but I think that's a bit unfair to D-men at times, because, let's say that I come around my net and I dodge someone and pass it up to the center, who now carries it up and he passes someone else. I started that play.
Yeah.
So, maybe there is a group of people that are able to just, outline the difference between those type of two. But because I do think that breaking out pass is the hardest thing to do in hockey.
And I think that's the exact argument for the primary points being not as important when it comes to determining an offensive D-man. So
right.
You nailed that. Avi Hoffman said earlier, third lines win Stanley Cups, though Nuge for third line center would be golden. I think back to, and I think that's, I don't know, I brought this in because I agree with that statement. And you think back to Tampa at the peak of their run, and they had, Yanni Gourde with Palat, and I forget, maybe it was Tyler Johnson. I can't remember when they were at their very best there, but they had that incredible third line, and they were just so noticeable. So do you think that is a reason to continue to consider Nuge in that spot when everybody's back?
Well, it is. I mean, now, can Henrique do a similar role to him? Yeah. I think that they're similar players. They're both smart, skilled players. But I really like that in that spot. But the challenge is, if you leave Podkolzin and Nuge and Arvidsson together, now you got to figure out the line mates for Draisaitl.
Right.
And so that's, it feels like they're almost like one forward short. So someone has to step up and get it done. So is it Trent Frederic when he comes back? Is it Kane? Is it Perry? Is it Brown? Is it Henrique? Does Henrique go up there? And then you have to figure out the fourth line center position. So because when you play Nugent in the third line center, I think that gives you the flexibility to put him at fourth line center Henrique or move him up. So, I'm going to be really interested to see this all shakes out. If Nugent's the third line center, do you put Henrique beside Hyman and Connor? Then what does it look like for Leon? So part of me, it's a bit like, middle November. I know Christmas is coming. I have to wait for it. So I have to wait to see what these lines look like. And I pray everyone's healthy for game one of the playoffs and Kane's ready so we can see it. But keep in mind, it usually takes Coach Knoblauch a couple games to figure out the perfect lineup combination.
Boy, you hope you manage to win one of those before you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, it's no good
For
being
sure.
down 0-2. Sort of on that same topic, Shimmy asks, does Frederic play a type of game that Coach Knoblauch will favor? Do you think he's what he's looking for? Do you think he's going to be inclined to push him up the lineup if he needs him?
When I heard this trade happen, the one thing about Bruins players is, generally speaking, they're very puck responsible. That's the program that Boston has. Not a ton of high risk. You put the pucks in the right areas, or you carry the pucks in the right areas, and there's not a lot of high risk play. So I believe he's already been pre-trained or pre-coached to be that way. And I think that'll be a feature of his game that, yes, Knoblauch will like.
Okay, let's do one more here. Dallas Scarlet said, what are your expectations for this game tonight, seeing Dallas as a far, far better team than Seattle? I just want to see an honest effort from the group. We say sometimes there's no moral victories in the game, but do you think a tight, hotly contested 1-goal loss tonight in any way could be seen as a positive for this team?
Guys, this is a really good team. They're really good. As I mentioned, their top 9 forwards, the lowest guy has 16 goals. The highest has 29. They're a really, really, really good and deep team. So everyone's got to play. There's no hiding tonight. There's no like, if I have an off night or I don't pull my weight, it'll be okay. No, it won't be. It will not be okay. Everyone's got to be good. So I think the ton of pressure on the D group to have a good game today, as well as the goaltending. They've got to be really good. But you take the top 2 players off any team, it makes it a little bit hard to win, and especially the Oilers are top 2 centers. So I'm not saying this is going to be a loss, but I think this is going to be a tough game for the Oilers to win because Dallas is good and they're deep, really deep, and they don't have Mira Heiskanen in their lineup, which is crazy, and they're still that good.
Yeah. Yeah, Thomas Harley's been on a heater too. I just know because he's on my fantasy team. Somebody tried, before our deadline, somebody tried to trade me for him. I was considering it. I thought, no, with Heiskanen out, but man, that guy, he is awesome. Thomas Harley is just kind of, broke onto the scene last year, and he's phenomenal.
So good. He's gonna be a feature on that lineup and for Team Canada for years to come.
Before we wrap this up, I'm just going to say on my Get Off the Fence, I did do a poll too, and I guess I'm in the minority here, although marginally. Oilers goal song Fluxland by XL, keep it 53%, ditch it 46%. I think it was ticking. I think while I was talking, I was ticking up until I mentioned Nickelback, and then went in the other direction. People wanted that out of there. We did have some other suggestions. Starting over at 61 said Rattle the Cage by Mike Plume. I haven't heard that. I'll have to look that up. Battle Armor says Black Betty. T-Man says Bruce Coburn's If I Had a Rocket Launcher.
Classic.
Rye Guy says Blame It on the Boom Boom by Blackstone Cherry. I think someone said that they're local as well. I'll have to check that one out. So yeah, a couple of other suggestions coming in there on the stream. We thank you all for your contributions today and for joining us.
That's so great. Thanks. And if you like what you hear, tell a friend, tell them to tune in, join us. And you can always get it in podcast form as well. We're back tonight post-game. Oilers got your back. Zubie, myself, Brownie, and of course, Ryan Rishaug. What we're looking for tonight is, can the Oilers handle the offensive players of Dallas? I'm looking at the D and the center. It's going to be a lot of pressure on them today. We'll tell you all about it later tonight after the game. Zubie, thanks for joining us today. Any final words?
No, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to, I'm on a real podcast run here. I got a busy 3 days, so I'm excited to watch the game and re-rack it and have some more fun tonight.
I love it. Well, thank you to all of our sponsors for making the show possible, and thank you to you for listening. Tell a friend, like I said, download the podcast, and we'll talk to you again next Wednesday. But before then, post game tonight. Everyone, thanks for listening. See you tomorrow, everybody.